I am an Omega blending into an all-alpha dorm. I woke up to find an extra bite mark on my neck. And shockingly, there are 3 different pheromone scents lingering on my body. Damn it. Who exactly marked me? Chapter 1. I have 3 college roommates. One is the campus bad boy, muscular and simple-minded. One is the academic genius, aloof and arrogant, like an untouchable flower on a high peak. One is the campus heartthrob, suave and charming, never lacking romantic encounters. These 3 are all pure alphas. Only I am an inconspicuous omega. Due to an error in my secondary gender differentiation results, I ended up in this dorm by a twist of fate. The other 3 all know about this. We've lived together for a year in relative peace. I never expected to wake up today to something like this happening. Touching my neck, I shot a sharp glare at my 3 roommates. The bad boy, Brant, was gripping the doorframe doing pull-ups, sweating while shouting, "Austin, let's play some games together later." The heartthrob, Austin, was fussing with his hair in the mirror, completely ignoring him. "No time. I have a date with a senior Omega girl." "You traitor. Wasting all those times I brought you breakfast. Move aside. Don't block the way." These 2 bickered every day. Only the academic genius, Frank, was quiet. In his heart, there were only his physics experiments. From start to finish, none of these 3 looked out of the ordinary. "I can't tell it all. Forget it, I'll just ask directly." I shouted loudly. "Which one of you 3 bit me last night?" The air suddenly grew dead silent. Brant's hand slipped, and he fell from the doorframe. Austin twisted his ankle on the spot and fell on top of him. Frank's hand slipped, poking a hole straight through his paper. All 3 faces screamed of a guilty conscience. A chill ran down the back of my neck. Did they all bite me? How could this happen? We were clearly the best of bros. To be honest, I couldn't tell which of them liked me at all. The reason I managed to get into this dorm was because of a mistake in my differentiation check upon enrollment. Back when everyone thought I was an alpha too, the 4 of us got along great. Until the day we played basketball against the sports college. Brant and I were both key players on the basketball team. We coordinated perfectly and scored consecutively. Just as we were about to win, a faint scent of roses wafted across the court. "What's that smell?" I ran while wiping my sweat, completely unaware that it was coming from my own body. Brant, who was closest to me, suddenly covered his nose. "Cheney, it seems to be coming from you." I blanked for a second, and the basketball in my hands was snatched by an opponent. That fierce alpha from the sports college even smugly bounced the ball around me in a circle. But the next second, a look of terror crossed his face. You are." He suddenly covered his mouth and nose, his face turning beet red as he rolled on the ground like he was on drugs. He also released a thick cloud of alpha pheromones. I jumped in fright and backed up repeatedly. "Hey, don't try to fake an injury. I didn't push you." The referee urgently blew the whistle, halting the game. But it was too late. The sports college guy's pheromones were too stimulating. My legs uncontrollably went soft, and I fell to my knees. It felt like a floodgate inside my body had been opened. A rich pheromone scent released from my every limb and bone, like a rose bomb exploding right on the spot. The remaining 9 alphas on the court instantly went into their susceptible period. Rut. They uncontrollably released their respective pheromones. The concentration was terrifyingly high. Even a passing dog would have been affected. The scene was total chaos. In the end, even the police were alarmed. A whole group of people was escorted to the hospital. As a first-time Omega, I was very sorry. It was only then that I learned my true secondary gender differentiation. The doctor gave me a full 4 drip of suppressants before finally controlling my heat reaction. Hearing that I was hospitalized, all 3 roommates came. Frank paused his experiments and came to visit. Austin canceled his date and came to visit. Brant even paused his own 4 drip and came to see me. He held up his 4 bottle with one hand and covered his nose with the other. "Cheney, man, your pheromones are too fierce. Taking down 9 guys at once. Truly badass." Austin used a handkerchief to wipe the sweat from my forehead. "Rose-scented. Smells quite nice." He took the handkerchief tainted with my pheromones, put it under his nose, and took a deep breath. I can't bear to wash it now." I was utterly speechless. Aren't you afraid of being stimulated into a frenzy too? Austin tapped my nose. Baby, worried about me? I literally couldn't bear to look. Do they only look at faces when choosing the campus heartthrob and not brains? The academic genius was still the most normal one. Frank didn't forget to study even at a time like this. What he was researching in his hand was my medical examination report. He was very close to me and I followed his gaze. Under the half-page ultrasound image, there was a line of small text. Reproductive cavity is well developed. No obvious abnormalities seen. Ah, 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 ah. Reading everything will only harm you. I snatched the examination report away, shooing them out in humiliation and anger. All of you, get out. Alphas and omegas should keep their distance. Brant casually pulled up a chair and sat down. It's fine. We're bros who've slept in the same room. What are you afraid of? Austin also sat down next to him and pulled out his phone. Exactly. I canceled my date and have nowhere to go. Start a game. Brant, start. The two of them played happily right there in my hospital room. Frank surprisingly didn't leave either. I looked at him in astonishment. Not sleeping in the lab today? Don't delay your experiments. Frank didn't answer. He leaned over and held my hand down. Don't move around. Be careful not to dislodge the needle. After speaking, he sat by the bed and slipped his palm under the hand receiving the 4 drip. The suppressants were a bit cold, and after a while my whole hand was freezing. Frank's palm felt exceptionally warm. I couldn't help but look up at him. Frank was very handsome, with refined features, looking fresh and clean. In my eyes, he was even better looking than Austin, who had long hair and wore earrings. He should be the campus heartthrob, right? I don't know if it was because of my physiological cycle, but my heartbeat sped up a bit. What are you looking at? Do I have a flower on my face? Frank's voice was nice too, deep and gentle. Oh no, why is my head full of strange thoughts? Is it because I haven't been given enough suppressants? I seriously requested of Frank. Could you help me call the doctor? He froze for a moment and reached out to feel my forehead. Are you feeling unwell? As soon as he got close, my heartbeat got even faster. I quickly grabbed his wrist. Suppressants, add another bottle. Chapter 2. In the end, I didn't get any extra suppressants and was ruthlessly kicked out by the doctor. Nonsense, that's already the maximum dosage. Staying away from alphas is better than anything else. I slunk back to the dorm dejectedly and made a solemn decision. Brothers, it's no longer suitable for me to live here. I'm moving out. The guys froze. You're moving out? Brant anxiously took a step right in front of me. Don't do it, Cheney. I can't bear to let you go. If you leave, who will wake me up in the morning? Who will help me bring in my laundry when it rains? Boo-hoo. I can't live without you. Austin shoved him aside, his tone unfriendly. I'm the one who wakes you up, right? I'm also the one who brings in your laundry, right? You're hugging the wrong person without even figuring out who's who. After saying that, he pulled a packet of things from under his cabinet and shoved it into my hands. Cheney, it doesn't matter if you're an omega. As long as you use suppressant patches on time, your pheromones won't leak out. Just as I was about to take it, Brant snatched the patches away. Austin, why do you have this stuff? He poked his cheek with his tongue and said sarcastically, a playboy is a playboy, keeping omega personal items constantly stocked. Impressive. So impressive. Austin's face flushed bright red, and he kicked him in the ass. None of your damn business. Brant immediately fought back, wildly pinning Austin against the desk. You're rebelling against me. They started fighting again. These two were probably natural enemies. I silently took a step back and bumped into a solid chest. Frank was standing silently behind me, holding my shoulders. Didn't you say you wanted to learn roller skating? I'll teach you. I turned my head and met his calm, deep gaze. Frank's pupils were a light amber, clear and clean. Driven by some unknown force, I nodded. In the night breeze, people were coming and going on the school sports field. Couples were running or walking, looking sweet and intimate. I changed into my roller skates and looked at Frank expectantly. The academic genius was excellent in every way. When we first enrolled, Frank performed a freestyle slalom routine that filled me with admiration. With his personal guidance, I would definitely learn it well. I excitedly reached out my hand to him. Frank pulled me up steadily. And then, the academic genius said nonchalantly, "Skate." How could I? I couldn't even stand steady. The moment I took a single step, I crashed into his arms with a thud. Sorry. I hurriedly struggled to get up. But that's how it is when you're first learning to roller skate. The more anxious you are, the worse your balance gets. Especially for someone with no talent like me. I couldn't even stand up. I flailed around clumsily, only to fall down again and again. I was panting from exhaustion, and when I looked, I was still in his arms. Even the passersby couldn't stand to watch anymore. "Classmate, are you plowing the field here?" Sweating profusely, I looked up at Frank for help. "Teach me, won't you?" Frank's lips were pressed tight, but his eyes were smiling. This guy was trying really hard to hold back his laughter, wasn't he? "I'm not learning anymore. What kind of person is this? Deliberately watching me make a fool of myself." I tried to sit on the ground in a fit of pique, but Frank pulled me right back up. He reached out his arm and wrapped it around my waist, holding me very tightly. "Spread your feet shoulder-width apart, put your weight on one foot, and step with the other. I'm holding you, you won't fall. Don't be afraid." Frank was very strong. I tried walking forward a few steps. No matter how much my feet slipped, I didn't fall down again. My sense of security skyrocketed. He just held me like this, moving slowly across the field, being passed by one strolling person after another. Frank suddenly spoke. "The College of Science and Engineering is mostly alphas. You won't be able to avoid them even if you change to another dorm. It's better to stick with us three. We know each other inside and out." I froze for a moment. "Cheney, don't move out." The summer breeze blew past my temples, and the arm around my waist had a very strong presence. Through my thin t-shirt, his body temperature almost burned me. I mumbled, What a great know each other inside and out. You three hypocrites in human skin. I really shouldn't have been soft-hearted and stayed in this dorm just because of a few words about them not wanting me to leave. Touching the bite marks on the back of my neck, I was furious. You guys went too far. I treated you as good friends, yet you had dirty thoughts about me. I'm moving out. Austin immediately rushed over and hugged me. "Cheney, don't get worked up. Biting you was just our only option. The way you looked back then." Brant also blocked the door, spreading his arms to block my path. "Cheney, your pheromones were so strong. You couldn't control yourself at all. So you all took a bite? Is that even a human thing to say?" Frank, who had been silent the whole time, stood up from his desk. He looked at me, his eyes calm. "I will take responsibility." Why did he say it so seriously, like we were getting married? My face instantly flushed red. I'm only 19. I still have to study hard. I can't be bound to an alpha this early. Not to mention, I know Frank doesn't like me. He was just affected by my omega pheromones. Back when I moved into the dorm as an alpha, he was the coldest one towards me. That was last year, not long after school started, and both Austin and Brant were out. Late summer in the south was still very hot. The dorm didn't have AC, so I was shirtless to cool off. Frank came back from the study room, and I greeted him enthusiastically. "You're back pretty early today." As a result, Frank glanced at me, his brows knitted tightly. "Can you put your clothes on?" "Why? It's so cool like this." I didn't notice anything wrong with him and carelessly walked over to help him unbutton his shirt. "Look at you, covered in sweat, your shirt is soaked. Hurry up and take it off to cool down." I had barely undone 2 buttons when Frank suddenly grabbed my wrist. He was very strong, squeezing my wrist until it turned red. "Ouch, that hurts. Let go quickly." Frank stared into my eyes, the corners of his own eyes a little red. Having never seen him look like this before, I was a little scared and couldn't help but shiver. "Frank, what do you want to do?" After a long while, Frank closed his eyes and said stiffly, "Sorry." After saying that, he pushed the door open and left. I stood there, rubbing my wrist in a daze. That incident passed a long time ago. Later, Frank didn't speak coldly to me anymore, and we got along decently. But I could never forget the look in his eyes back then. It was fierce and strange. He probably hated me a lot, but out of politeness, he just didn't show it. I still have some self-awareness. I shouldn't cause trouble for others. I don't need you to take responsibility. I really don't. Chapter 3. I dragged my suitcase and rented a small apartment off campus. Over the weekend, my 3 roommates came to help me clean up all day, only leaving reluctantly at dusk. Frank left last, hesitating for a long time as if he had something to say. Finally, he just said one thing: "Call me if you need anything. My phone is on 24/7. I nodded and closed the door. Having my own space for the first time, I relaxed to my heart's content in the room. I binge-watched several episodes of a romance drama I was too embarrassed to watch in the dorm, and even turned the volume way up. After finishing the show, I turned off the lights and went to sleep, completely satisfied. The night in the rental apartment was very quiet. Through a crack in the curtains, the moonlight shone in. Without Brant's snoring and unable to hear Austin's teeth grinding, I really wasn't used to it. In the past, after lights out, Frank would always go to the balcony, turn on a small lamp and read. I wonder if the moonlight shining on his book tonight is the same? Sigh. I missed them a little, but wanting to go back right after moving out was too humiliating. I pushed through it. Whether eating or going to class, I didn't sit with them. After enduring it for over a month, I had no choice but to go back and find those 3 guys. Because I think I'm pregnant. Crazy. This is truly crazy. I like watching melodramatic TV plots, but that doesn't mean I want to experience them myself. Vomiting until my whole body was weak, I went to the hospital for a checkup, completely drained of energy. As a result, I was severely reprimanded by the doctor. Do you have any common sense? How can a temporary mark cause pregnancy? Did you sleep through middle school biology class? I shrank my neck and whispered, but I really feel nauseous and sick. The doctor asked, when did it start? What did you eat? Did you smell anything unusual? I thought carefully. Just a couple of nights ago when I was walking home, I ran into a perverted alpha releasing pheromones wildly on the street. Smelled so awful. I started throwing up as soon as I got home. The doctor nodded. Very normal. This is a rejection reaction. There are still pheromones from another alpha lingering in your glands, and they are very dominant. So when you encounter other alphas, you'll have a strong reaction as your body tries to protect you and keep you away from them. I was stunned. From one person? The doctor said, yes, from the alpha who temporarily marked you. I whispered, but at the time, 3 people marked me together. The doctor's gaze turned very strange. Are young people these days this open-minded? However, the instrument only detected 1 alpha pheromone. The other 2 didn't succeed. I pinched the hem of my shirt, blushing. Could you please prescribe some anti-nausea medicine for me? The doctor said, I can't prescribe that. You just need to go back to the alpha who marked you and let his pheromones soothe you. Or you can have him provide a little bit of his pheromones and come to the hospital to formulate a targeted placebo. I hesitated. Will it get better if I just tough it out? It can, but from now on, every time you smell another alpha's pheromones, you'll feel sick. I was so mad. Whose pheromones were this domineering? I left the hospital angrily, heading back to settle the score with those guys. As I reached the door, the doctor called out to me again. His gaze was very peculiar. We also detected a type of omega pheromone in your glands that doesn't belong to you. 2 omegas biting each other's necks is useless. Go back and study your biology properly. I walked out of the hospital in a daze. It was truly unbelievable. There was actually a hidden omega in our dorm. I immediately thought of Frank. So that's how it is. No wonder he had that expression when he saw me shirtless in the dorm back then. At that time, I was an alpha certified by the school clinic. It would be weird if a little omega like him, pretending to be an alpha, wasn't scared. Later, when he found out I was also an omega, he finally dared to approach me. It's a bit of a pity. Originally, my heart fluttered a little for Frank. Now, we can only be sisters. Sighing softly, I pushed open the dorm room door. Brothers, I'm moving back in. Baby. Cheney. Austin and Brant came over happily to welcome me. I gave them each a big hug, taking the opportunity to absorb some pheromones. Frank stood by the desk, blocked by the other 2. He looked at me with a faint smile on his face. I proactively walked over and gave him a tight hug too, and I squeezed my eyes, giving him a don't worry look. Sister, I will guard your secret from now on. Frank was a bit confused but didn't overthink it. He raised his hand and gently touched my cheek. You've lost some weight. Have you not been eating well out there? I narrowed my eyes and nuzzled his soft palm. Sure enough, only an omega would feel heartache for another omega. Frank, I won't be able to get my bedding back until tomorrow. Can I sleep with you tonight? Frank suddenly froze. Are you sure? I nodded vigorously. Of course. Only by staying with him was I safe. I wouldn't dare touch the beds of those two alphas. The student dorm beds were a bit narrow. At night, I lay on my side against the wall and hugged Frank's waist. We are all omegas. Hugging a bit shouldn't matter, right? But Frank seemed somewhat stiff, lying straight and rigid, not daring to look at me. He still didn't know he had been exposed and was still pretending to be an alpha, trying hard to keep his distance from me. I originally wanted to whisper some bestie secrets to him, but forget it. I closed my eyes. There was a very faint fragrance in Frank's bedding, and I quickly fell asleep. I slept soundly and peacefully. When I woke up the next day, the discomfort of the pheromone rejection had completely vanished. It seems the concentration of Austin's and Brant's pheromones in this room is quite high. Just staying in the same space was enough. But I can't be bound to them for the rest of my life. I still have to find the one who marked me and get a targeted placebo formulated. But how do I bring it up? Pheromones are such a private thing. Usually, everyone hides their own scent. Asking someone for their pheromones is no different from asking someone to go to the hospital and donate blood. Moreover, I still don't know which of the two it is. I can't just ask both of them to donate a little, can I? That's too absurd. I frowned, trying hard to recall the events of the day before I was bitten, wanting to restore the truth of that time. Chapter 4. That day was actually my birthday. The whole dorm went out for a meal together to celebrate. After eating cake and singing songs, we went to take a shower and get a scrub. The problem was I got drunk. I was only a little dizzy at first, but soaking in the hot water made my brain even fuzzier. And I suddenly went into heat again. Ever since I lost control on the basketball court that time, the doctor had put me on a heavy dose of suppressants. I hadn't gone into heat again for nearly a year. Who knew it would suddenly fail in the bathhouse? In a panic, I wrapped a towel around myself and rushed out, bumping right into Austin, who was drying his hair. I hurriedly grabbed his arm. Do you still have those suppressant patches you gave me last time? Austin was also bewildered. He wrapped a wet towel around my neck and supported me to quickly leave the crowd. No, those things are supposed to be used in advance. It's too late to put one on now. Then what do we do? My pheromones were becoming more and more uncontrollable, feeling like a rose bomb ready to explode. Austin hid me at the entrance of the emergency stairwell and gritted his teeth. Baby, there's no other way. Forgive me for this. A sharp pain hit the back of my neck, but I was so dizzy and blurry-eyed at the time that I didn't even react to what had happened. As time ticked by, the scent of roses grew stronger and stronger, constantly radiating from my pores. I was about to cry. Austin, are you capable of doing this or not? What are you two doing? Brant's voice could be heard faintly. He had followed the scent and found us. Holy shit, did Cheney lose control again? He made it sound like I had rabies or something. If I hadn't been completely drained of energy, I definitely would have jumped up and beat him. Brant rubbed his hands anxiously, pacing back and forth. Last time, Cheney's pheromones knocked out 9 guys. Austin, I'm afraid you won't be able to control him by yourself. Let me help you. The towel around my neck was pulled away again. I helplessly opened my mouth, weak and powerless, completely at their mercy. Stop! Frank finally rushed over as well. I was on the verge of passing out, my whole body burning hot like a cooked shrimp. In my days, I only felt the 2 people holding me down being pulled away, and I was dragged into a solid embrace. I'm taking him to get suppressants. You guys stay out of it. Sure enough, only Frank is a good person, although he might have secretly bitten me too, leaving some omega pheromones on my body. But that should just be to test whether there would be a reaction between an omega and an omega. For an academic genius with a scientific spirit like him, whatever he does is understandable. The target is locked between Austin and Brant. As for whose bite was the true mark, I need to observe from close range. In the test report the doctor gave me, there was an analysis of the pheromones that marked me. The scent composition was a bit complex. Tobacco, leather, and a faint hint of rum. With such a flashy scent, who else could it be but Austin? That guy who loves to dress up? I was just about to march back to the dorm angrily to confront Austin when someone suddenly wrapped an arm around my shoulders from behind. Brant had just finished playing basketball, his whole body steaming with heat. He unceremoniously slung his arm over me, chugging mineral water. "Cheney, are you hungry? Let's go eat together." I suddenly froze. Wait, his body seems to have a faint smell of smoke. When sweating a lot, pheromones sometimes leak out a bit with the sweat. Could the one who marked me be Brant? I couldn't help but turn to look at the person next to me. Built like a fitness coach with nerves thicker than a pillar. Could a guy like him really have such complex pheromones? "Brant, did you smoke?" Brant jumped in fright. "Is the smell of smoke that obvious?" It was the guys from the sports college who forced it on me. "Cheney, I'm not addicted to smoking." The clue was broken again. I better think of another way to confirm. After eating, we brought some food back for Frank and Austin too. Brant and I walked back. Just as we reached the dorm door, we saw Austin squeezing next to Frank. Pinching his voice, he hugged Frank's arm and acted coquettishly in a sickeningly sweet tone. "Frank, academic genius, let me copy. Just let me copy this once." I flared up immediately and kicked the door open. "Austin, you are truly shameless." In broad daylight, he actually wants to copy, sleep with his own roommate? Is he even human? I grabbed Frank and pulled him behind me. Omegas must help omegas. Austin looked at me in confusion. "Why are you scolding me?" I said angrily. "What are you copying? Do you just let anyone copy you?" Austin was unconvinced. "I just want to copy the physics homework. What's wrong with that? If I don't copy Frank, who do I copy? Copy yours? Do you even know how to do it?" I froze. "Oh, physics homework. What else?" Austin thought about it and realized I had misunderstood. He sneered. "Heh, truly. Whatever is in your heart is what you see." A soft chuckle came from behind me. I turned around with a blushing face and glared at him. "What are you laughing at? If it weren't to protect you, would I be this worked up?" Frank rested his chin on my shoulder, his soft black hair brushing against my face. "Thank you, Cheney. I give you permission to copy." He deliberately reached his arms past my ribs on both sides, like a back hug. He took the physics homework out of his desk. Then he whispered in my ear, "I'll only let you copy." My face instantly turned red. "Frank, wake up. There will be no result between two omegas. Although I don't discriminate against alpha/alpha or omega/omega pairings. But when it happens to me, it's still a bit awkward. I must speed up the process. Once I find the source of those pheromones, I can move out again. With distance, Frank will slowly figure it out. Being so good-looking and excellent, he'll definitely be able to find the best alpha. On the weekend, I deliberately avoided Frank and invited Brant and Austin to the gym. In a place dripping with sweat and raging hormones, pheromones are most easily exposed. Come on, let me smell which guy exactly smells like tobacco, leather, and rum. I pretended to do some warm-ups, then let out an ouch. I sprained my ankle. "I'll rest for a bit, you guys go ahead and train." The two didn't say anything. Austin tied his hair into a bun and started pedaling on a spin bike. When Brant walked by, he mischievously slapped Austin on the butt. "Nice perky little butt. Don't touch me." Austin turned around to scold him, but the tips of his ears quietly turned red. His eyes also kept following Brant as he walked into the weight area, landing on the chest and abdominal muscles Brant exerted while bench pressing. I sat on the mat resting, observing them unobtrusively. Why do I keep feeling like something is a bit off? Before I could figure it out, a cold voice sounded above my head. "You like this kind?" I looked up, meeting Frank's cold eyes. "Huh. How did he find us so quickly?" I froze for a moment, just about to explain that I didn't leave him out on purpose. Then I heard Frank repeat, "You like looking at abs?" I originally wanted to deny it, but then I thought about it. Frank is interested in me, but we can't be together. If I correct his aesthetics and make him like strong alphas, wouldn't that solve the problem? I am truly brilliant. I affectionately grabbed Frank's hand, lifted my chin, and pointed toward Brant. "Don't you like such a strong alpha? Look at those developed muscles, those powerful arms. How much a sense of security they give." In the future, when you guys get intimate, he could even hold you with one arm. Wow! Just thinking about it makes me feel so. My voice got softer and softer as I spoke because Frank's face was getting uglier and uglier. I shook his arm. What's wrong with you? Frank sneered and suddenly pulled me up from the mat. An arm tightly clamped around my waist, lifting me effortlessly. Hold with one arm? Like this. I was so scared I quickly wrapped my arms around his neck, my two legs wrapped around his waist. What are you going crazy for? Put me down quickly. As if to show off his strength, Frank carried me with a straight face and walked to the weight area. He put me down, lowered his head, and rolled up his shirt sleeves, revealing a section of fair but solid forearms. Then he lay down on the bench press rack next to Brant and started lifting weights. I was speechless. Who is this guy trying to compete with? Has he pretended to be an alpha for so long that he actually thinks he is one? But to be honest, Frank is indeed a rare, sturdy type among omegas. He looks thin when dressed, but has muscles when undressed. Under that thin shirt, he has everything he should have. Last time when we squeezed into the same bed, I secretly felt him up. The texture wasn't bad. I wonder which alpha will get lucky in the future. Chapter 5. In the gym, the three guys were training hard, and before long they were all dripping with sweat. A fine layer of perspiration covered Frank's neck and collarbones. He sat up, turned toward my direction, and his fingers slowly undid his shirt buttons one by one to let some air in. I swallowed hard and quietly turned my head away. Honestly, we are all roommates. Why make such an eye-catching move towards me? The concentration of pheromones in the air was getting higher and higher, and sure enough, I smelled tobacco and leather mixed with a faint hint of rum. I immediately twitched my nose, searching around for the source. Just as I stood up, the scent suddenly grew stronger. My gaze shot sharply toward the door, locking onto Austin, who had just returned from the restroom. It really is you, you bastard. I pounced on him with lightning speed, hooking my arm around his neck and dragging him outside. Good job. You really made me search for you. Austin looked utterly confused. What are you looking for me for? I stretched my nose into the crook of his neck and took a deep breath. This is your pheromone? Austin froze for a second and mumbled vaguely, yeah, you bit me pretty damn hard on my birthday. Austin shyly ran a hand through his hair. Baby, I was just in a rush, you know? Exactly how much pheromone did you pump into me? It's been over a month and there's still residue. Austin awkwardly dug his toes into the floor, laughing dryly. Hee hee heh. Seeing him play dumb to gloss over it, I stopped beating around the bush. Come to the hospital with me. The alpha pheromones you left behind made me develop a dependency. I need to extract a little of your raw pheromones to formulate a medication. Austin suddenly went rigid. I looked at him sideways. What? Dared to do it, but don't dare to take responsibility. And no. Austin stammered, his eyes darting everywhere. Sweat instantly rolled down his temples. Baby, that alpha pheromone inside your body, it isn't mine. I leaned in and sniffed him again. It's this exact smell. Tobacco, leather, rum, just with a bit more sweetness. Austin's scent was a bit too sweet. Too lazy to waste my breath on him. I got ready to call the other two roommates, so we could just tie this guy up and haul him to the hospital. Austin hurriedly blurted out, Cheney, I'm an omega too. Austin pulled a small 5 milliliters portable perfume bottle out of his pocket. What you're smelling is this perfume. I stared at him in shock. How is that possible? Otherwise, why would I always keep suppressant patches stocked and ride the spin bike to build a perky butt? Seeing that I didn't believe him, Austin leaned close to me and secretly released a tiny bit of his pheromones. The sweet, milky scent of white rabbit creamy candy instantly enveloped me. Oh my God, Austin blushed and whispered. My natural scent is too childish. It really doesn't fit my image, so I use perfume to disguise it. I was speechless. Then why did you, an omega, bite me? Because you were too terrifying at the time. You were like a walking seductress, spreading poison everywhere. I was afraid you'd get caught by an alpha with bad intentions. So in a moment of desperation, I took a bite to try and help. Turns out my pheromones really didn't work. I was even more speechless. Austin, please go back and brush up on your common sense. All right, I get it. Keep my secret for me. okay? Don't go spouting nonsense out there. Don't worry, my lips are sealed. After that massive misunderstanding, Austin and I walked out arm in arm. Why do you pretend to be an alpha? Austin's face turned red again and he stammered. Brant and I were classmates in high school. I only tested into this university for him. I have a secret crush on him. Wow, I shockingly swallowed this massive piece of gossip. Does he know? Austin shook his head. Then what are you doing going out on dates all day? Austin said resentfully. I'm learning the ropes from the senior Omega girls and dropping all sorts of hints. But Brant is totally clueless. TSK true. Brant is as dense as a brick. He was even thinking about marking me. I comforted Austin. Don't worry. When we get back, we'll ask Frank to help you think of a plan. As such a smart Omega, taking down a dumb alpha like him will be a piece of cake. Austin looked at me in astonishment. Are you okay? How could Frank be an O? The doctor said. I stopped abruptly. The doctor said they only detected one other Omega pheromone. I had preconceived Frank as the O. But now Austin had outed himself, which meant the remaining two were both alphas. Therefore, Frank is an alpha. And I willingly climbed into his bed. I protected him to stop Austin from copying him. I even dragged him along to admire big, burly alphas. Haha. I am such an idiot. Devastated. I was supported by Austin as we walked out to meet the other two. They had already finished showering and changed into clean clothes. Frank must have been in a hurry, casually grabbing a bright red polo shirt from his closet, the uniform one given out during the school anniversary. His skin was very fair, his shoulders broad and straight. He managed to make even such an ugly shirt look incredibly good. I couldn't help but raise my eyes to peek at him, meeting Frank's clear, deep gaze head-on. My heartbeat suddenly skipped a beat. Too embarrassed to keep looking, I hastily turned my head and aggressively interrogated Brant. Brant, confess right now. Did you leave those pheromones on me? Brant subconsciously glanced at Austin and waved his hands repeatedly. No, Cheney. I just broke the skin a little and stopped in time. If I really bit down, wouldn't I have marked you? How would I dare do that so casually? I was dumbfounded. It really wasn't you? Really not. Then there was only one person left. The person I dared not believe, yet inexplicably anticipated the most. My palms subconsciously clenched. My heartbeat was an absolute mess, and my breath caught in my throat. It was me, Frank admitted. Boom. It was as if fireworks had exploded in my mind. I stared at him blankly as Frank took step after step toward me. The warm scent of tobacco mingled with a faint touch of leather, and rich rum blended with vanilla, creating a deeply fragrant amber aroma. This was the first time I felt Frank's pheromones so clearly. It was too complex, and absolutely captivated me. That night, I originally intended to give you a suppressant shot, but you suddenly struggled and shattered the vial. Frank began to explain, and fragmented memories began to piece themselves back together. When Frank brought me to that temporarily booked room, I was on the verge of losing consciousness entirely. But the moment he got close, I smelled the extremely faint pheromones on his skin. Some say that when encountering pheromones with a 100% compatibility rate, a person simply cannot control themselves. That was exactly what happened to me. I suddenly went crazy, actually overpowering Frank, who was half a head taller than me. Right on the spot. I threw the suppressants away and tore his shirt. I buried my head into Frank's chest and willingly offered up the back of my own neck. Mark me. I'm yours. Ah, 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 ah. Why did you have to make me remember? I am such an innocent person. How could I utter such shameless words? Austin had already dragged Brant away, slipping off secretly. Frank stood in front of me, cornering me against the wall. He used his long, slender fingers to lift my chin. Remembered? Not going to keep pretending you have amnesia. My face was so red it was practically steaming. I muttered, I wasn't pretending. It was just that subconsciously, I didn't believe Frank would actually mark me. Didn't you disdain me? Frank frowned. When did I ever disdain you? I brought up the incident from when we first enrolled, how I invited him to cool off in the dorm and ended up getting yelled at, feeling extremely wronged. You looked at me so fiercely. Frank's expression shifted from stunned to helpless. That incident? I was in my susceptible period, rut, already prone to losing control. And you threw yourself at me practically wearing no clothes. Who was bullying who exactly? He brushed my collar aside, his thumb gently caressing my protruding collarbone. You were playing with fire? Do you know that? I didn't dare make a sound. Frank's gaze grew deeper and darker. I woke up early every day to save a seat for you for an entire year. I finished all the lab reports you were too lazy to write. And in the end, all you remember is the one time I told you to put your clothes on. You little ingrate. How can you be so heartless? I dared not answer. The skin his fingertips traced couldn't help but shiver. I'm sorry, I said, shuffling my feet in tiny steps, trying to escape, but Frank grabbed my waist and pulled me right back. I don't want to hear apologies. I'm only asking you, do the words you said still count? I closed my eyes, playing dead. What words? Frank leaned close to my ear, his gentle pheromones brushing over me with his breath. Cheney, are you mine? My heart was beating impossibly fast. I slowly raised my hands, gathering my courage to hug him back. Yes, I am yours. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.